Alrighty. So thank you, Caleb, for sitting with me today for Envision Your Vision interview.
You're welcome.
Like I was telling you before, Envision Your Vision interview is I guess, a platform I kind of started last year where I want to take time to interview the people that I really believe have envisioned their vision, which means that they see a dream that they've had or an idea, and they actually planned it out, worked it through, and now they're starting to see it come into fruition. And I think it's important for people to see other influencers or people in their field who was able to do what they saw in the beginning and what
Mm.
went after it. So that's why I really love these interviews. I like getting to know people's stories, and that's why I wanted to talk to you because I know you have a big
Mm.
story to tell because you do many things. Some people don't know that, but I'm gonna give you the chance to kind of talk about it. All right.
Okay.
Okay. So, for those who do not know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I am Caleb Khemasis Nordelus. I'm a producer, part-time photographer, but not for like financial. I just like photography. I got into it, but mainly I'm a producer, musician, um, and that's me. I came up loving music, and I decided to pursue it as a career path, and I'm still on my way. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I have been given some blessings from God to be able to, do a few things.
That's good. And I like that you said you're not yet where you want to be, but you still are moving. So I think that's why having a vision is important because even though you have a overall vision and overall goal, it changes over time and
Mm.
it gets either bigger or larger. And there's many milestones that people take to get from one place to the next. So I think it's good that you're still striving and you're not comfortable where you are.
Yeah.
So let the people know where you're from.
I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I grew up
Mhm.
in the area. I moved a lot from Pompano to Deerfield to Fort Lauderdale. I grew up moving a lot. I'm not a military kid by any sense, but I did move around Broward County area a lot growing up. So I got a piece of everything, but for the most part, Fort Lauderdale. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I grew up Haitian, old, church, so that was my lane growing up, partly in the church, partly in the streets. So
Hardly in the streets. When was
I guess
this?
I guess I'm a hybrid of some sort.
I've known you my whole life. I'm trying to figure out when were you in the streets?
Hey, I kept it away from a lot of people, man.
So let the people kind of know like how did you get into producing? Like when did it start? Because honestly, because I've known you for a while, I didn't even know that you love music as much as you did. I thought
Mm,
you was gonna get into like engineering because you used to break things apart and put them back together. So
mm,
sometimes we can think that because we see someone have like a skill or a talent, that's kind of where they're gonna go. But
mm.
this one turned into a curveball because then out of nowhere you just started learning so many different instruments, and that's how you got into music. So can you walk the people through like how you got into producing?
Pretty much it was a love. To be honest, I would have never thought I would have went the production or music route. I always knew it was something I loved,
Mhm.
music growing up. I started playing the piano, basically in church. Most of my instruments I learned was playing in church, trumpet, a little bit of drums, a little bit of bass and guitar. Um, but as I started learning these things, like production is not really one instrument. It's more of like the idea of bringing instruments together and making a record. So there's a lot of producers that don't know how to play any instruments.
Yeah.
So as I kind of got older, around, I would say 10, 11, I realized like I also had a love for recording and um, just being able to play something and then record it and then add something on top of it at a young age. I realized that I thought that was really cool.
Mhm.
So I kind of just fell into it really. Like that's really the most I could really say. I can't really explain how I really got to where I am, but it's something I fell into, and as I fell into it, I started loving it more. And then I got, a little bit of recognition in actually knowing that I'm good at it. I never knew that I was good at it. It
Yeah.
was always something that I did that I just did just for myself, just to hear it again.
Hmm.
And I got to the level where people are like, hey, that's not bad. So, I started out doing some production contest in Miami. I
Hmm.
ended up losing one really bad, and I came back and I won one. And that's pretty much where the idea of making music a career, that's where that started. From those contests, I realized, okay, I can actually do this. It's actually a possibility. So
Yeah.
that's
And
yeah.
then for that one time that you lost, because I know sometimes when we lose or we don't win at something, it kind of bring a lot of doubt and discouragement. So what kind of pushed you to do the competition again the second time
I've always been somebody that losing has never been something that gives me doubt, gives me any type of feeling of giving up. It's always been a learning thing for me.
around?
Um, I can't just say I've been like that. I grew up around a lot of people that put that in my mindset, that losing is not the end and losing is actually learning.
Yeah.
Either you win or you learn. So when I lost that competition and I lost horribly, um, they were able to actually, they didn't just tell you, hey, you lost. It was based on a score, like for authenticity,
Yeah.
creativity, sound, sound design, mixing. So they based the winner on those scores, and they actually broke down like what they felt like made you lose.
Yeah.
So I'm always somebody that's very attentive to what I could work on, and so they broke it down for me. And it's actually the first contest that I've ever done is, to be honest, the reason why my career got pushed forward. Not so much the one that I won, because I met people at the first one. They had a few high producers that were in the industry, and they were the judges. And so they kind of liked how I took losing. And I tell people all the time, like, losses, and this is not just a loss. You don't just get stuck there. Take
Right.
that, and eventually it'll get better. So they kind of liked my energy towards losing, and they were actually confused because I was more excited than the person that won. So
Mhm.
I speak very seriously. I went in and I kept getting better, and that allowed me to actually work with them, which pushed me to where I am now. So yeah, that first one that I lost definitely had a bigger impact on me as a producer and musician than the second one that I won.
Wow,
So
that's crazy because you never really think that an opportunity will come out of losing per
yeah.
se. And the fact that you lost gracefully kind of sets this bar and this tone that they really wanted to meet you and get to understand, like, who is this cat? Like, why is it that he's supposed to be mad and furious and, he's not showing those attributes. So I think whoever's listening, lose gracefully because you don't know what kind of opportunity will come from that. And like you
Mhm.
said, more opportunity came from the losing than it did from the winning. And that's a very powerful thing because a lot of people just want to win, but they don't also see that an opportunity could come out of a downfall, And it does, and like you said, it doesn't have to be a loss. You still saw it as a learning opportunity.
Mhm.
So, with that being said, what would you say in your own words? What do you believe vision is?
What do I believe? What is
Vision. Like,
a
what's your
vi-
definition?
to me? A vision is, we all have visions. I think every human being has a vision. Every human being has some idea of something that they would want to be, or a level that they would want to be at, or something that they would like to pursue.
Mhm.
So I think a vision is something that it's kind of like something that you see from the side of your eye. it's there. You may not be there, but it's there, and it's obviously something that you want to pursue, you want to get to a certain level. So I would say a vision. I can only say my vision. My vision has always been to be the best producer in the world.
Wow,
And
that's a big one.
yeah, that's always been my vision. Not even so much for the financial aspects of it, but just to be able to get to a level where I'm in an area by myself,
Mm.
and to see, to get to that level and see other people try to get to that level is my vision. And obviously being able to provide for my family and do that vision. So to solely be able to use music and use that as a, how would I put it? Use that as
Platform?
a platform
Platform?
for a lot of other things that I would like to do, but have that be the main platform.
I
So
like
that's
I like
my vision.
that. I like that because when we talk about platforms, sometimes we want something so much that we think it's the end goal or the destination. And we
Mhm,
feel like, well, this is it. I worked so hard only to get here. But I like that you said that you can use music as a platform for other things. So
mhm,
another thing that people need to realize about vision is that it's interchangeable sometimes, and it can be flexible.
mhm,
So you can see something, and at a young age, you saw music and only music. You didn't even get to the point of producing. And
mhm,
as you got older and more things started to open doors for you, it led to producing. And then now you're producing and you're like, you know what, there's more I want to do with producing. So then
mhm,
now it creates a platform to allow for this new opportunity to come in. So I just think, like what you said before, it is something that you see, even though it's not yet there. It's a preferred future for your life. And
mhm.
everyone should have a vision. I believe God gives people
Yeah.
vision, but
Mhm,
some people don't see anything for themselves. And that's
mhm,
why it's so important for me to do something like this and interview you, because you saw something that you wanted. And I think it's really good that you went after it, and you're still going after it, and you're still saying, you're not exactly where you want to be, but there's more you want to do. So
mhm.
that's why I love this conversation about vision. And that's why I keep, picking at people to hear what's their input about it. So
Yeah.
the Bible talks about our gifts making room for us. Okay.
Mhm.
And right now, you kind of talked about your gift for music. Do you feel like music made room for you, made room for you in this industry, made room for you to become who you are? Like, what do you think about your gifts? And maybe you have more gifts, and it'll be great to hear if you feel like you want to speak on that.
Yeah. I think that's I talk about that a lot, about things making room for you. Sometimes, I wouldn't say all the time, your dream is gonna make room for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes there's a void. Sometimes there may not be a void until you step into the picture, and that void is not realized. I don't know if you kind of get what I mean. Like, let's say for me, I'm a producer. In my mind, I feel like, man, the way music is now, I feel like, they're missing out on me. You know what I mean? Not, no, not in a sense where it's like pride, but
Right,
I feel
boisterous.
like I can bring so much to music. They may not realize that, or the industry may not realize that, or know that they need me. You know what I mean? But I feel like you have to force that in your mind. Like, this is something that you have to offer. And at the end of the day, you're bringing something that you feel like is lacking. You may have a sound, or you may have a different way of creating music that you feel like the industry is lacking, or whatever your your career path is. If you're into art, or if you're into, you know, design or anything like that, you have to feel like you see what's out there, and you see that they don't got what you got.
Right.
It's just the pathway to get there is a tough road,
Mm-hmm.
but it's there. But sometimes you just have to force that idea in your mind to be able to force it into others' minds. Like, a lot
Ah,
of
I like that.
A lot of artists that I work with, they just I'm kind of like attracted to artists that are different.
Mm-hmm.
Just as I don't I don't like working with artists that there's some really good artists, but they just sound the same and they sound like, they're just gonna bring the same. So I would prefer to work with an artist that's not so experienced or developed, but they have a different sound. So that's what I'm attracted to. And sometimes it's like they can start to feel like they might be too much or they might not, they might be too weird
Yeah.
for the world. And a lot of times I gotta tell them like, look, you're not weird. This is who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You have to convince them now.
Mm-hmm.
Once you convince them, then they'll want to pull you in. Then they'll want to finance you. Then they'll want to, because they don't even know that you exist. They don't know that what they needed existed. So you just have to put it in your mind first, lock it in, and then uh, try to convince the world.
Dang, Caleb, you dropping these gems. I like
Been,
that. Like, honestly,
yeah.
the one thing I do like about these interviews, it's not even just about other people. I be getting some wisdom out of the people I talk to. And what you just said is so powerful. You are filling a void that you believe that the world needs. And people don't realize that that's what purpose is all about. You're put here on earth for a reason, to solve a problem, give a solution. And I like the fact that you're saying that, hey, I'm here. You need me. I know that you need me. And you said you believe it so much so that we have to convince them to also realize it too. And that is real powerful, because now we should stop trying to put ourselves in these little niches and boxes and say, like, because, we deal with sometimes comparison. Well, she's already doing that. He's already doing that. But I like the fact that you said that y'all need me. And when you go into the mindset like that in the world with your vision, and you're like, this is what I want to present to the world. No longer is it, well, will they like it? Or, you tell them, you need this, you need me, you need this product, you need what I'm providing. And when you go in there, there's this level of confidence that makes you attractive. And I think that's what makes you also attractive to those creatives. Because one, it gives you a chance to show them how much they need you, but then also get to showcase to the world how much the world needs them too. So
Exactly.
I like that. That was really good. I might steal that. I ain't gonna lie.
Just put my tag at the end somewhere.
I'll see if I remember. I'll be like, I came up with that.
I'm gonna be watching.
They may not even see this. They're gonna probably hear me first.
Allah.
I'm just kidding. Maybe, kind of. I don't know yet. All right. So what would you say were some sacrifices that had to be made? Now, I know you kind of went from 10 years old, I love music, and then boom, I'm already producing. But I know in between, it was not as seamless as how you're presenting it. So were there sacrifices to be where you are today? And if there were some sacrifices, is there any that you feel comfortable talking about that was maybe major to, who you are today?
Nah, there's 100% always gonna be sacrifices for anything that's worth something is gonna require sacrifice. Me, I would say it's a lot, man. Financial, like I didn't always get funded to do music. I didn't always get funded to travel and work with this artist, work with that artist. I didn't always get the backup. I had to either save up or do whatever to get the funds because I believed in myself, So when it comes to family time, when it comes to friends time, even relationships, a lot of that, I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of
people with that, hey, let me call you back.
Man, listen, that's how it started. After a while, it was a text. Then it's like, we used to talk a lot. We don't talk as much anymore because he's so busy.
What?
But
I don't even know if you still live here.
And I'm like, hey, I'm in a session or I'm in a meeting or whatever. I would legit call you back 5 days later like nothing happened.
Right. A week later. And I'm just like, well, it's okay. Whatever fire I was in is gone.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
glad you. But yeah, at the end of the day, you have to. It requires that. You know what I mean? There's no moving forward without some sort of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Some things don't require much, but just like going to school, you sacrificing 4, 5, 6 years of your life to becoming something greater than you are, becoming your vision.
Yeah.
So it has to. That's why I spoke about letting them know that, listen, you need this, because it's not so much a pride thing, but it's a confidence that's required to keep you going, because it's a tough road. Whatever you do, those sacrifices, some are easy, some are not so easy. So you need something to keep you going. So that confidence and that belief in yourself is really the only thing you have, because even with my friends and sometimes even my family, they're like, man, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And like, you ain't never here. You ain't. I got nephews that. So it's like, man, I just gotta do it. I gotta do what I gotta do. Kobe Bryant, I think one of his, if not his last interview, it was one of his interviews where he actually talked about this specifically, where he's like, man, family, friends, vacations, even though he was already in the NBA and he's already at a level that most people envy, or most people probably won't even get to, even though he was at that level, he understood, like, look, it doesn't stop here. Like, it's still more. So a lot of times when his teammates was going on vacations, he would be, in the gym practicing or working out, or watching games and seeing what he could do better. So and he talked about how at a certain point, his family and his friends and stuff like that, they just had no choice but to understand,
Yeah.
look, he's on the next level. Right now, he's the light, and we just gotta, let him make himself better. There will be a time where he's gonna be with us, but we just have to understand what level he's on. So it's definitely been a lot of sacrifices, like I said, financially, mentally, physically. There's times like, man, sleep was not even. I remember one time waking up in a hospital, because
Wow.
I fell asleep, but I fell asleep somewhere and I did not wake up. So
Mm.
there is a limit, though, because you are human, and you are, you don't want to push yourself. I know I'm going against the grain,
Yeah.
but you don't want to push yourself into a corner that you can't get out of, health wise, physically, and even, spiritually, because I'm somebody that's spiritual, and there's certain things that I tell myself that I, absolutely won't do. And you just don't want to push yourself to the point where you're in a corner that you can't get out of. But at the same time, you have to push yourself. So it's one of those things where you have to evaluate your situation, your dream, give yourself a set amount of time where you need to accomplish this.
Hmm.
Don't give yourself too high of uh not expectation, but don't like, let's say you're trying to be a doctor. Don't tell yourself you're gonna be a doctor in 3 years. It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
And if it does happen, you're going to be pushing yourself to a point where it's going to affect you in a negative way. You're
Hmm.
doing
Yeah.
so, you know, really look at your goals and figure out things that you can do, not comfortably, but things that are actually possible. So at a younger age, I kind of realized, there's really nothing that's not possible.
Hmm.
Right work with the right mindset, consistency, you legit can do anything you want in this world. And I know I'm the 100,000 person to say that, but it truly is a reality. It's just most people don't have that willpower to be consistent or be, 100% focused all the time. So yeah, back to sacrifices. Like I said, it's been a lot, but it's all been worth it so far, so
Thank
yeah.
you. Like, I like that you brought up sacrifice and you gave it to us very vulnerably, and you
Mhm,
opened up, because we have to realize with our vision, sacrifice is going to happen. Let's be real.
mhm,
If you want something so badly, there's something that is necessary in order for you to get to it.
mhm,
And I think it's necessary for people to understand that. And then I do like the idea that, yes, the world calls us, and I know society has this idea of grinding. You got grind, you got grind, you got grind. But you're right. We're human and there's limits to our grinding. And
mhm.
we have to realize, like, where do I put integrity and value, and I say no to something and I say yes to something else, you know? Like, you still have to be very, very cognizant about who you are. Like,
Mhm.
what can I take? What are the burdens and situations and things that I can hold on to? And when do I finally raise my hand and say, this is way too heavy, I need to step back, you know?
Yeah.
So I think you gave some really good points about the sacrifices that you made, and that you are aware that, there are some times where you probably pushed yourself too much.
Mhm.
And if you kept doing it, it's going to limit yourself from getting closer to that dream and vision that you have, you know? So I think it's good that people heard that and they realized, like, okay, you can't be a couch potato, but you can't be, 24 hours not sleeping, trying to be a money machine. And it's like, you're a human,
Yeah,
there's balance.
I tried it. It won't work. You
Hmm.
said you're gonna hinder yourself from actually being able to achieve your goal, because
Yeah.
now you got baggage. Now you haven't been sleeping. Now you might catch some sort of disease because your immune
Yeah.
system.
And you
So
no
you
longer,
balance.
yeah, and you no longer become an asset. Now you're a liability to the things that
Mhm,
you want. And you don't want that. Remember, like you said in the beginning, you want to let them know that you're needed. They
mhm.
need you, but you have to be needed as an asset, not a liability where, okay, I took on too much. Now I can't fulfill what it is I said I was going to fulfill for you guys.
Mhm.
That's really good. So with that being said, I want to know, like, who are some people did you get to work with? I hope you're able to talk about
Yeah, of course.
that. Okay. So just for some viewers who are listening, so they know that you're not just somebody who, ain't really about it. Like, let them know some of the people you actually had a great chance to work with.
Yeah. So as of now, I've worked with Chris Brown is probably the main person that I've worked with as far as somebody successful. I did 2 records with 3 songs with him. I've worked with Young Thug, Gunner, Nav, Tayana Taylor, French Montana.
Mm.
Uh, who else? Is a few more, but I definitely been working. So
Dang.
definitely.
See, them doors was opening for you. That's really awesome.
Definitely. And it didn't really happen until, like you said, you put yourself into a kind of uncomfortable position, but you keep that balance.
Hmm.
There's a lot of people that I know that they really, kind of in a way forcing themselves out there and forcing themselves to work with certain people. And it's like you said, you kind of come off like a liability more than an asset, because they can read that. They can read your body language, and it's kind of weird. You come off
You're
so,
doing
and
too much.
yeah, they'll look at me like, dang, like you don't even live. Like there was a point in time where I was going to LA probably every other month, 2 weeks, stuff like that. And it's people that lived in LA and they like, bro, like I live out here. How the heck you even run into this person? How you in the studio?
Mhm.
How you got these records to that person? And it's like, it's really a balance. Another word that you said, integrity. Integrity does a lot to how you come off. When you're somebody that has limits and has, there's things that you won't do.
Yeah. Won't
You
compromise.
first, your level, the level that people respect you is different. because there's things that they know you won't do. There's things that they know you won't partake in. So that actually helps you because that gives them a confidence like, okay, he's here to do what he need to do. Because as we know, there's a lot of people that come off like they're trying to do something, but they have different,
Motive.
and their mind or motives. So um, like you said, it really comes down to balance and integrity. I think those is the
And
most important.
discipline. I think discipline, because when you brought up Kobe Bryant and his family and everyone around him just having to understand, it's because
Mhm,
there was a level of discipline that he kind of forced out there. And I think that's the same thing with everyone who has a vision. Point blank, period. If you're listening to this, there's something you want to do, know that you will not get to it until you realize you need to be disciplined. Even I'm dealing with that.
oh yeah.
It's very difficult, but that's the thing. You're attracting the people to you because of the integrity, because of the balance, because of you knowing who you are, but especially because you're disciplined,
Hmm.
because you know the craft. And on
Hmm.
top of knowing the craft, everything else around you, your professionalism, the way you carry yourself, it all kind of stems around the discipline that you have for what you're doing. To the
Hmm.
point where, like you said, I had to make sacrifices. Other people will understand that. And being like a wife, and my husband, he's in that mindset where he's grinding, he's doing things. It is hard. It is hard to watch someone do something and you want them to put more effort into you, but you have to put yourself in a position to understand. Like for me, one of the visions I have is that I want to be first, I want to be like sole proprietor of my time. Like that's my
Hmm.
motto. I want to be a sole proprietor of my time. I want my time back, and I want to be able to distribute my time the way I see fit. So no longer having to be tied to a 9 to 5. And the reason I have such a strong vision about that is because I want to be a present parent. I want to
Hmm.
be a present wife. I want to be able to give my time to the people and my family. So right now I make sacrifice where I don't get to hang out and do all these things like I want to, because my end goal is that all the time that was exerted here can now be refocused back to you guys.
Yeah, and
So
that's most important because you make the sacrifice and you put yourself in a position, like you said, you're a wife. You don't become a wife just so you could now try to figure out what you want to do in life outside of your family.
yeah,
Your hands down is the most important. That's priority number one. And you want to make sure that there are times where you get busy. We all get busy. But at the end of the day, you want to make sure that family is good and you keep that priority number one. So
hmm, numero uno.
and
All
it's
right. Oh,
also
go
when
ahead.
you have last thing.
Yeah.
It's also when you have a spouse that's supportive, you know what I mean? They can make things very a lot easier
Hmm.
than have somebody that's not supportive. So I've been blessed to have somebody that's extremely supportive. I'm actually shocked about, the level of support that I get now. So, even when it comes to scheduling stuff and managing,
Yeah.
certain it's like she brings to the table rather than takes. So that's a very good thing,
I like that.
that support. So
That's really good. So, with that being said, I'm not going to hold you too long, but I do
mm.
want to know, is there anything right now that you're working on?
Yeah, right now obviously I'm always working with industry artists. So I'm working on a few Chris Brown stuff. I'm working on a few stuff with Gunner. I'm trying to get a few things situated with some little baby records that I did. So um it's always something. And then we have a few local artists. I work with a label, Sound Doctrine, and they have a few artists that we're developing that I think is super dope.
Wow.
Um, so in time, everything will come out, but it's always something I'm working on. So definitely.
Awesome. That's really good, Caleb. So with
Mhm.
that being said, let the people know how they can find you on social media. Um,
Um, I'm not a super super big social media guy, and I know I need to get on it. I will. But you can find me at Khemasis on Instagram, Khemasis.
mhm.
Um, Also on Facebook. And yeah, that's pretty much it. My name is Caleb, and I envision my vision.